Alright, so ignore all this stuff up here real quick for a second. Suppose I have two angles. Why? Because, I don't know. I'm measuring stuff. I'm measuring stuff and I've got two angles. One's 120 degrees and one is 180 degrees. Let's call this A maybe. Angle A, angle B. I don't know why. So I could say I could set up a ratio. And ratio is just a comparison of two numbers. So I could compare these two angles. I could say I could do it like this: 120 degrees to 180 degrees. And that's a certain ratio. I would prefer to write it as a fraction actually. 120 degrees to 180 degrees. I'm just comparing them for reasons that you'll see in a second, I hope. Um, well, let's reduce this actually, get it in a simpler form. Um, actually, what's a factor that these two numbers have in common? Um, well, it's 60 degrees. So I could rewrite the top actually as 60 degrees times 2, right? 60 times 2 is 120. And I could write the bottom as 60 degrees times 3. So I've taken this factor of 60 degrees out. So I could just cross that out, cancel that out. So the ratio of these of angle A to of angle B actually turns out to be just simply the ratio of 2 to 3. Right? Which, I could write as 2 to 3. Alright, now why this is useful is, I mean, notice how, um, let me think. Okay, I'm going to leave this up here and let you kind of meditate on that for a second. And then I'm going to jump into these kinds of problems that you'll come across. And hopefully you'll see the connection between this sort of setup and what we're doing over here. So here's a problem. Two complementary angles. Those are angles that add up to 90 degrees. There's two special words. There's a special word for angles that add up to 90 degrees and a special word for angles that add up to 180 degrees. Complementary angles add up to 90. Supplementary angles add up to 180. Okay, so two complementary angles, so angles that add up to 90 degrees, have a ratio of 2 to 3. What is the measurement of the smaller angle? Alright, so we know two things. We know that these two angles add up to 90 degrees. And we know that the ratio of the angles is 2 to 3. So I can represent this situation as, so I can represent it like this. Here's a kind of visual representation. If this angle is 2 times some number degrees, then this angle is 3 times that same number degrees. It's just like this situation over here. For these specific angles, 120 degrees, 180 degrees, I could rewrite each of these as some number, in this case 60 degrees, 60 degrees times 2, and 60 degrees times 3. So the ratio is 2 to 3. So I could actually rewrite this ratio over here as 2x to 3x, because, alright, if you look at it as a fraction actually, the x's would cancel out, and so that'd be 2 to 3. So 2x, the ratio of 2x to 3x is equivalent to the ratio of 2 to 3. Right? In this case, with these just random angles, the x turns out to be 60 degrees. Okay? Well, here I don't know what the x is. I don't know what this little magic number that they share in common is. But I do know the ratio. It's 2 to 3. So I'm going to write it as 2x to 3x degrees. So if so you just start somewhere. You start with x, okay? Well, the angles have a ratio of 2 to 3, so one of the angles is going to be 2 times x, and one of the angles, degrees, one of the angles is going to be 3 times x degrees. And then here's kind of a visual representation. All right? So that's one piece of information that I know. The other piece is that they're complementary, meaning they add up to 90 degrees. So I could just write it like this: 2x plus, and just let it. All right. I don't want to write degrees every time, so we'll just keep this whole thing will be. Just remember, we're dealing with degrees, measurements of degrees. So 2x plus 3x equals 90 degrees. All right. So now I can use this information to figure out what x is. I mean, now we're in algebra land. So 2x plus 3x is 5x. 5x equals 90. I could divide both sides by 5. So x is 90 divided by 5, which you can just do that out. You can do that on your calculator, but for fun, let's do it out by hand. Just it's good to practice the skills. All right, so x is 18 degrees. Now the question is, what is the measurement of the smaller angle? So the measurement of the smaller angle is not 18 degrees. That's just what x is. The smaller angle is, which of these two? Is it 2x degrees or 3x degrees? Well, this is the ratio. So yeah, so the 2x degrees will be the smaller angle. So the measurement of that angle is 2 times x. So we figured out what x is. So the smaller angle will be 2 times 18 degrees, which is 36 degrees would be the answer of that problem. All right, so I'm going to pause it real quick. All right, so let's keep going. Let's try another one. The ratio of two supplementary angles is 9 to 2. What is the measurement of the larger angle? Okay, so let's represent our two angles. So if they have a ratio of 9 to 2, we can say it's their measurement would be 9 times some number degrees to 2 times some number. Okay, and we can figure out what that some number is, and then use it to figure out what is the measurement of the larger angle. So we want to find out what this 9x, what the value of 9x degrees is. Okay, all right. So our first piece of information, or our second actually, is the ratio of the two angles, and we know that the angles are supplementary. So that means they add up to 180 degrees. So we just set up our equation: 9x plus degrees plus 2x degrees equals 180 degrees. So combine like terms, 9x plus 2x is 11x equals 180. That's not going to work out too nicely, so let me grab my calculator. Alright, so we wanted to do 180 divided by 11 to get x by itself. So x is 16.36 repeating degrees. Okay, and the question is, what is the measurement of the larger angle? So we found out the measurement of x, which is the factor that these two angles have in common. But we want to find out the measurement of the larger angle. So the larger angle is going to be 9x, not 2x. So so it's 9x, so we're just going to multiply this by 9. I'm just going to grab that again. So times 9 is 147.27 repeating degrees. Alright, so that's the basic process. Why don't you try this one? The ratio of two angles is 5 to 4. Together, these angles add up to 60 degrees. So you've got your two pieces of information. What are their measurements? So find the measurement of each angle. All right? Good luck.